Welcome to the Advertising Forum. This is episode 1 of our new series, The Rules of Streaming, sponsored by Philo.
Today we have Mike Laband, Group SVP US Revenue for Magnite, to chat about the new rules of streaming. Mike, I've heard a ton about you. I'm excited to have you with us today. Welcome to the Advertising Forum.
Thank you. Excited to be here and beyond. I've seen a lot of good stuff here.
Same here. You know, streaming has changed so much over the last few years. It's really taken off across the board. But from your perspective as a group SVP working at Magnite, what do you think has shifted the most as it relates to platforms and how advertisers are thinking about CTV as an infrastructure overall?
Yeah. So I think in general, when you look at the industry today and you look at both the buy and the sell side, you're looking for, and we're seeing a lot of the need for strategic partnerships. And that is a very, very big deal, first and foremost. And then layering on the technology behind it has to be a must. And so what I mean by that is just in general, just to work and operate with these different premier media companies, as well as with these large buy-side sets, you have to be able to operate and be able to manage and build out a performant, efficient, and innovative tech stack to allow them to operate their business and really bring together the nature of the industry. And so I think from a Magnite perspective and what I've seen over the last few years has been more focused in seeing that as more and more of these different types of clients of ours and partners are leaning in, we've had to really excel and really up our game in different ways to be able to continue to be a premier partner that they want and leverage across the board.
Mike, we hear it all the time. We hear about the importance of your tech stack.
Yep.
What is a good tech stack? And from your perspective at Magnite, what's non-negotiable?
Yeah. So in general, as a Magnite, we operate really two different types of businesses on the supply side. So we have what we call our DV Plus business. This is a business that's been very much focused on things like display, online video, native audio. And it's a massive high QPS, high frequency amount of ad requests layered in with a high signal driven type of way that's very much more open marketplace. That could not be more different than the streaming side, where we operate a completely different business, which we call SpringServe. And that business is heavily deal driven. That is a business that is purposely built for streamers. It's focused on pulling together, we'll call it our ad serving technology, along with programmatic into one place. So you can have for one workflow. And in those environments, what are the things that media owners are much more focused on right now? I would say number one is just more than ever, user experience. And I'm not talking about just how a pod is assembled. I'm talking about how you can pull in together to make sure that ad request and that actual delivery of the ad from a user perspective is very much the same as they see it when they're watching a linear cable stream. And so from that perspective, we have to make sure that anything that comes into our system, we're running through all of our creative review tools. There's a ton of different technology that goes into that to make sure that you don't see things like back-to-back ads. You have all these different aspects of looking at frequency capping when you're looking at the assembly of the pod in general. And so what we've found and what we've seen is the largest streamers in the world need massive UX opportunities and UX tools. We have to then cater to those needs, make sure at the same time they're able to monetize and excel in their business with the buy side, because these buyers obviously they have different types of needs as well. And so from our focus, like the CTV side couldn't be more different. And it's much more focused on just in general performant and optimizational way to allow media owners to operate their business.
Mike, thank you for covering that, because that was actually my next question, which was, how are you actually working with publishers like Philo in increasing and improving the monetization of CTV, user experience, creative tools, frequency capping? What does it mean for you for your partnership with someone like Philo?
Yep.
How important are these aspects to them?
Yeah, they're a premier partner of ours. They have tons of needs to make sure that as they operate a business, that's going to be, I would say, built out in a few different ways. They have, one, their own types of demand and sales initiatives that they're bringing to market. That's generally in a lot of cases, data-driven. Could be from their own first-party data, could be from a third-party provider, could be different things they're opting into with universal IDs that they're passing out to the buy side. So there's that one aspect to it. So we have to pull in those different types of data stacks, make sure we can enable them and empower them to operate those businesses that way. The second piece is they're going to tech, and they're going to layer in and lean into the different types of ways to connect with buyers who are using our curation tools to be able to build in and jump into these different types of marketplaces that they might want to be able to be a part of. So how they then factor in how best to take their inventory and be able to split it in different ways to make sure that these buyers can, one, find them in the necessary way, but then two, allocate those impressions to those buyers is a huge piece of that puzzle. And then lastly, they work with us really closely with our demand facilitation team to be able to, jump into different types of always on deals we're creating, or library deals that we're creating, or different types of mid-market types of opportunities that we're bringing to the market with Philo included. And so a big part of our relationship is, yes, the tech is there, how they leverage the tech from programmatic enablement, how they use us for different aspects of mediation from that perspective, but then also how they can then layer on the different types of partnership aspects that we bring to the table from a connection has always been really I would say the forefront with our relationship with Philo over the last few years with them.
There's a really good way to explain the 3-step process, Mike. Thanks. So with the 3-step process, there's always change in our industry, as the three of us know, and all of our viewers and listeners are probably smirking right now. What does tech agility mean with new formats, new measurement expectations, the constant shifts that are taking place in our industry? If you can hit on just what tech agility means from your perspective, that would be really helpful, as it's such a trending phrase right now.
Yeah. I think from my own point of view, it's not only being flexible to work with, I would say, the aspects of the needs of a publisher and the needs of a buyer, but also interoperable with our infrastructure in that way. And you really have to blend those two together. And what I mean by that is, just because you can allow for different things to happen, you need to be able to ensure that not only are you willing and able to operate with the needs of these customers and how they want to interact with their buyers, but then also going to the next level and then doing something about it. So I'll give a really good example. We've had a number of different partners for a long time come to us and say, we really want to start taking different types of, we'll call it formats in CTV to the programmatic stack. So things like native tiles, or things like home screen ads, or pause ads. So we've spent the last number of months working with different types of media owners to say, what type of units do you have? How can this work? In the background, working with a lot of different types of our peer set too. I'm not just saying this is a Magnite only thing. There's other SSPs, there's other ad servers, there's other DSPs, all working together with the IAB to figure out how best we can bring this to market, and pushing and everyone coming together to make this in a much more, we'll say, efficient and standard way. And so we are excited to announce that we just launched and worked with pause ads specifically for programmatic. And so that was a really good example of a lot of customers and publishers came to us saying, we want to start executing this in programmatic ways. We do a ton of this on this managed service side. What can we do to bring this to market? We went to the different types of teams internally at the IAB as well as internally at Magnite, but then also went to DSPs and said, how do you want to get on board? We can build this together. And now here we are. We have, I think, over 8 DSPs now certified for pause ads. I think native tiles will certainly be the next one, but that's going to take more time because there's a whole array of different types of units and that you can blend in. But that, from my perspective of a tech agility, just comes into understanding and working with the different clients you might have and understanding their needs, but then able to reinvest and build out different ways to then actually be interoperable with others in the industry, but then also with the different types of ways to connect the ecosystem together. So that would be the way I would look at that.
Which parlays really nicely into just the overall principle and purpose of partnerships. What your role is, how Magnite is looked at throughout the industry as just being one of the best partners, period. Why do you think partnerships and not just features are the differentiator in today's overall ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we all know this as you're growing up. You just want to be around the people you like. So you want to work with the people you like.
Well said.
Yep. I've always looked at and worked with all of our team and how we operate is, look, at the end of the day, if you can build a partnership where there's a level of trust, no matter what might happen, in the sense of, hey, we have a known issue in our technology. That's something that's happening that's not great for a publisher that we need to go figure out. Or maybe there's a make good we have to do with an advertiser because there's something that happened on our side. Partnership is always going to come first. You're going to work something out. You're going to figure out a way to move forward. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, that is where it starts. And then the next comes, okay, well, how do you figure out the tool? How do you figure out the fix? What is it that's going to make all parties whole in this opportunity? And so that's kind of the way you look at it. So we really stress different ways to focus on the partnership, whether that be with advisory boards, both on our media owner side, as well as on the brand side and buy side that we've set up. Obviously, we do things like executive offsites where we bring together different executives to have different exchanges and come together in a more closed door environment to speak about different issues in the market and bring together the groups all together in one. So there's a lot of stuff that, from our side, we're lucky. We have an executive team that really stresses that, starting with Michael Barrett, our CEO, who really pushes on the partnership of what we do today across the board. And that trickles down all the way down to, the day-to-day operations person working on an account. And it's just, what can we provide and do that might be a little better than someone else? Because at the end of the day, like, that's going to be remembered, that's going to be followed. And we know that we can reap the rewards of that over time.
Nice. What's a myth, in your opinion, about our space when it comes to streaming that just needs to be busted, especially just with all the news about pause ads and everything you guys are working on?
It's a tough one. I think in general, the one I hear that I spend a lot of time on is that just because something is programmatic means it limits creativity. I don't think that's true at all. I think in general, when it's used effectively, programmatic can allow for the personalization you need, the tailored messages you have to reach the right viewers and at the right time. And what I mean by that is there's so many signals and so many things that you can pass and send to these different buy-side entities, obviously in a privacy compliant way. You can layer on things like contextual aspects and audience. There's just a really nice and way that you can build something that allows for really the nature and the need from both the buyer and the seller to come together in that type of way. And I think pause ads are a really good example of that. We're super excited about those, but it's just in general, I think across the board, there's other things from that aspect from just in general CTD that can operate in that way.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Really good shout. Appreciate that response. It gets overlooked a lot. Well, Mike, thank you so much for joining us on the New Rules of Streaming series sponsored by Philo. This was a great conversation. We want to thank Philo. We want to thank Magnite, and thanks for joining us. We know that you have a ton on your plate as we're all coming back from summer, so to speak. So
yeah, get into the best time of the year, fall. Lots of stuff going on. Shows coming back. Honestly, sports lighting up more and more. So it's a great time of the year. And as we kick into Q4, where it's fun for everyone in advertising, to say the least.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.